Yeah, hello. This is Wayne Berry. Welcome to our question and answer on sales this morning. Joining me is Harry McIntosh, our sales coaching director, who this morning will be joining us via telephone rather than on the screen. Harry, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Wayne.
And I think our viewers can hear you okay as well. Such are the issues we occasionally have with the technology, because we were speaking just fine a minute ago and then just suddenly you disappeared from the screen. But that's quite okay. A quick warm welcome and a time check from people around the place here now in the east coast of Australia, apart from Queensland. We have, it is 8 a.m. I just hear a little echo. Let me just take care of this little situation I've got here. 1 second. Where is it there now? No, seems to have disappeared. Okay, and in Western Australia this morning, those of you joining us from Western Australia very early this morning, is 5 a.m. Australian Central Time, 7:30 a.m. That's in Adelaide, New Zealand. Our friends across the Tasman there, 10 a.m. In Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, Hong Kong, it is early 5 a.m. We have some people joining us from London in the United Kingdom, where it is Sunday, the 12th of October, it's at 10 p.m. In Los Angeles, we do have a few people in Los Angeles where it's the 12th of October and it's 2 p.m. there in the afternoon. Chicago, it's 4 p.m. and New York, it is 5 p.m. right now on a Sunday afternoon. So welcome to everyone. Harry, we'll roll straight into this, because we have limited amount of time. We're at people's sales meetings this morning. We want to respect time. I have a question here, and I know you have the question in front of you as well, because I did send it to you, and I'll just read it to you. This is from Tim Bryden, one of the people on our Top Gun Sales Coaching Program. He's in Western Australia. Tim says, when dealing with large companies such as Rio Tinto or BHP Billiton, we're normally speaking with one of the workers or supervisors on the site. They don't have the authority to make the final decision on large purchases, which makes it difficult to gain commitment from them. The process usually involves the site guys getting 2 or 3 quotes and submitting them to the procurement department for the final decision. The procurement department normally has no idea what the goods are. They only see the numbers and make their decision based on that. What's the best way to ask for the order and gain commitment when we cannot get directly in touch with the final decision makers? Could you please include this in your Q&A session on Monday, which indeed we are. Harry, what are your thoughts on that before I give mine?
Yeah, thanks, Wayne. This is a very frustrating one. I've been across this myself in my earlier days in sales. And one of the things that I used to do, which we talk about, is to involve your executive management at levels above, where, well, what I'm meaning is that somebody owns the budget up there who makes the decisions on these. It's really important to get some sort of a communication in. If you're talking simply with people who are not the decision makers and you can't seem to get any access, it's really important to find a way to get that access happening. Now, by involving your executive management, you can match them or pair them off at a peer-to-peer type approach, which gives you the opportunity to explain the bigger picture of what your organisation over in Western Australia does and how you go about that. Now, from a more tactical level, you can also think through what we cover in the training about being a doctor of sales, is to find out from these people that you're dealing with about what's important. It's really important when you're working with the workers or the supervisors on site to find out who they deal with, to ask the questions that allows you to then go through that process so that you are ready with the information that you can provide your executives when they get a senior level exec link up happening at the organisations. You've also got a terrific opportunity to find out what's important to the supervisors or the workers and match that, and you can run through the disturbing process a little bit. Use your skills and your knowledge about what you know about what you provide versus what the competition will do, and set it up so that you open their mind to thinking about areas that may not be covered by others. I hope that makes sense. Wayne, have you got any thoughts?
Look, it does, and that would be my advice as well. Look, this is a case of, obvious case where we can't get a decision, we can't speak to the decision makers. And yes, if we're having some difficulty dealing at that level, it is wise to deal at another level and go higher. In fact, if I could just flow on to another question, because it ties in with that, and I hope that's useful to you, Tim. Tim and I spoke 2 days ago where we were talking about other things as well, because we do those video conferences with everyone on the program from time to time. But I did receive another one. In fact, it was a late question this morning, Harry. You've probably got it there in front of you, from Travis Clayton. Who says, what should I do? Now, Travis Clayton is in New South Wales. He's on our Top Gun Sales Coaching program at the present time. We're working with him. He's only in the early stages of the program, so he hasn't quite reached that module yet on handling objections. So he says, look, what should I do with this client? And here's how the dialogue goes. He says, the client says, look, no, sorry, I've got preferred suppliers that we use for many years. He says, that's fine. A lot of our clients originally have great relationships with their former suppliers, but when we showed them the unique purchasing system that we have and how they could save thousands of dollars in wastage, they decided to use our company. Client says, no, I'm sorry. I'm not in a cost saving mode at the moment. I'm just going to go on maternity leave, and I'm just doing 2 days a week at the present time, so I'm not interested at all. Travis says, I then say, well, surely you must be busy looking for ways to save time and make your job faster then. Client says, no, I'm fine, thank you. So again, that's a kind of an interesting one. You know, what do we do with somebody like that? And if I can flow on there with the answer, I think, and just tie it in with the previous question from Tim Bryden, I think this is a case of where we need to deal at a higher level. If we're dealing with somebody who just does not appear to be responsive to what we're offering and what we're suggesting, alarm bells should be ringing. We are not dealing at the level where a decision can be made. We're not dealing at the right level. And it is a mistake so often made by salespeople who deal at a lower level. Why do they do this? Well, it's easier to talk to people at a lower level. Much easier to access those people. Now, that's both a disadvantage and an advantage. It is a disadvantage because we're not speaking to somebody who can ultimately make the decision. It's an advantage if we realize this and we go to the higher level. If we can be dealing at the higher level with the true decision makers and the opposition are dealing at the lower level, we have a major, major advantage. However, here's the dilemma that Travis has right now. He's dealing with this lady, I think it is, who says, look, I'm going on maternity leave. You know, I'm really not interested. I think this is another one of those cases where he should use somebody within his company to go to the higher level. Now, this person within the company can be somebody at a higher level within his company with greater authority or a more fancy title than him in his company. In reality, it does not really need to be, it could be someone on exactly the same level as him, but using a title which makes them sound more important. Now, why am I suggesting this? If Travis now jumps this person and goes directly to their boss and says, hey, this is what's going on here. Surely your company's interested in saving money, saving time. Yet this lady says she's going on maternity leave. She only works 2 days a week. She's not interested. We're really going to offend that lady, and he's eventually going to probably have to deal with that lady. This is where somebody else within his company can then actually phone the more senior person and say, look, it is our company policy that I always have contact at the most senior level in the organization when we're dealing with that company. That way, if there are any challenges, any questions that come along, you have direct access to me. You can call me direct, and my purpose in calling today is to give you my contact details and explain that I'm keenly interested in providing good service for you. Now, our Mr. Travis Clayton is dealing with your Ms. Name the name. And he's had this situation come up where what we are able to offer offers tremendous benefits, savings in costs, savings in time. But it would seem that the lady's going on maternity leave. She's only working a couple of days a week, and we totally understand that situation. But we thought that you would be keen to know that we can, in fact, affect these savings and save time. She's possibly just a little bit too busy to look at it right now. What would you suggest that we do? Now, you may encounter the same situation, you may get pushed down again, but you may not. The person may be keenly interested in saving money, and in fact, you've just pointed out that that person at the lower level is really not doing their job well. So again, I think this is another one of those same cases, Harry, where we jump to a higher level. There's just no point in dealing with somebody who cannot make a decision. Alarm bells should ring when we find that the person is not able to make the decision or is behaving in that manner. It should be a real lesson to us to always go in high, because you can be passed down to a lower level, but it is rather challenging to be passed up. But this is the way around it. Get someone else in your organization to call, go through the kind of words I just used then from a service perspective, and now you have communication at 2 levels. So I'll be quiet. You had some technical problems I heard there, Harry, so I covered for that. You're back there?
I'm back. Thanks for that, Wayne. Yes. I agree with everything you're saying. There are a couple of alarm bells that have gone off, particularly when the client for Travis explains that they're only going to be working 2 days a week. So they're obviously in a position that's either going to be shared or it's not a key critical position. So getting somebody to go above without putting you in a bad position is absolutely perfect. But if you were to offer a way to help this person also look great by getting you involved with who's going to be covering the work, or by showing that you can help them to keep the process going easier, to add value back to the business, that's also something that you can offer. But it's a very tricky situation, and I think exactly what you've said, Wayne, is ideal. You know, it's important to get your execs involved at their exec level. That's critical.
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll roll into the next question, because we're always time to time. We always tend to run out of time on these questions, and we have quite a few people I can see who are online right now, watching us in the various parts of the world right now, which is great, and that's the good thing about this technology. And we also have people, of course, who'll be watching this recording a little later on, because sometimes it's a little bit more convenient to do that. A question I've got here, I've got a number to choose from. Let me see here. Yeah, here's one that's been held over from a previous one, and I really should answer this, for Richard Van Oorschot, I think it is, of Melbourne, who says, some people would argue that cold calling is dead. What is your view on this? Cold calling is dead. Look, quickly, here's my view. There are a lot of people out there who are saying, look, you don't need to cold call. All you really need to do is be active with social media, have a good website, do email campaigns, generate lots of leads, and everything is wonderful. You don't need to cold call. In fact, there's one very good program, and it is a good program, from a gentleman out of the United States. I may be pronouncing his surname incorrectly, but Frank Rambuskas, I think is his name, who has a program which is called No Cold Calling. I think that's what it's called, No Cold Calling. And it is an excellent program, and it's all about how to use LinkedIn and how to use social media and how to do all those things to get people to come to you. He contends that it is much, much better to be dealing with and talking with people who are now ready to buy, rather than making outbound cold calls. My thoughts on that is twofold, really. Yes, hey, it's terrific. Do all that stuff. Use LinkedIn. Use all of your social media. Do your email campaigns. Do everything that you probably notice that we do to keep a constant flow of calls coming in. That's a really good thing. However, be strategic as well. I call it making your own luck. I think it's irresponsible for a salesperson to say, look, the company should be generating leads for me. They should be doing more marketing. They should be using social media, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think the main reason that salespeople, Richard, I'm not saying this of you, but the main reason many salespeople don't like making outbound cold calls is because they get rejected. And part of the reason they get rejected is because they get clients to say, I'm not interested. And of course they'll say, I'm not interested if your approach is not interesting, if it's not engaging. And Harry and I teach, and our other sales coaches teach in our online Top Gun sales coaching program, a strategy whereby you make 10 calls, you get 5 appointments. Let's call 1 in 2. That's a pretty good conversion ratio, and you can bank that. This system absolutely works. And the reason I say this is important to do this is because you can be strategic. You can zero in on the particular accounts that you wish to get into rather than wait for the phone to ring. So I'm saying do both. But the fact of the matter is that often the inquiries that you're constantly getting are possibly for the smaller accounts, the smaller deals, and it keeps you busy. So you're busy doing busy work, and you're saying this social media and stuff is really working. This is great. People are coming to us. They're ready to buy. That's terrific. But in the meantime, you are neglecting the bigger opportunities. So I think it's important to have a balance there. Handling inquiries that come in, do everything to generate the inquiries, but be strategic. Make your outbound telephone calls. Set a certain time frame aside each week to be making outbound telephone calls to make appointments with the companies that you specifically wish to get into and speak to. Because frankly, a lot of salespeople are having the same thoughts these days. It's not necessary to make outbound telephone calls. It's not necessary to make appointments. And that means that many companies are not getting as many direct approaches. And if you do so, then you'll stand out from the crowd, particularly if you have a good method of doing it. And please don't bump around in the dark. Don't waste your time making calls where you're going to get a high level of rejection. Be successful in your cold calling on purpose. Discover the right way of doing it. And obviously we teach this. And if you'd like information on this particular module of making outbound telephone calls, by all means, contact us. Now, I've run off the mouth quite a bit there, Harry. Have I left anything for you to comment on there? Because I know you work an awful lot with companies in how to make outbound calls and make their own luck.
Wayne, that's absolutely amazing, because we are finding this all the time. There are so many people saying, look, I get warm incoming leads all the time. The thing is, that's fantastic, but all that's happening is that cold calling is just changing. Cold calling still is the first call you make out to a prospect, whether you found out their name, whether they've got an interest or not. They're just a warmer cold call, which means that your level of acceptance should be just that much better. It's still absolutely essential for people to do their prospecting at some stages, exactly as you say. I agree completely with you there. And that makes a difference, that when you know who to call inside an organisation, or you target the people to call inside an organisation, you can share with them information which is interesting, so that they feel that they need to talk with you to find out why they should be dealing with you. But the key thing that I like to share with people is all that's happening is the concept of cold calling is changing. The cold calls go out from the marketing message that you provide through all of the social media outlets that we use. Frank's thing is great. There's some fantastic information in LinkedIn about how you can do it. All sorts of things like that. There are fantastic ways of getting the message out there, but you still cannot avoid the fact that you have to call people to follow up on what you do, and that's really important. Just as you say, mate, having a script or a process or a structure is fundamental to the success of anything like that. If you want to come across as being different from the others, know what it is you're doing, have a purpose in mind, and focus on what is likely to be the message that the customer is going to need. It's essential that you show that you've done your homework and that you share information with them versus asking them for information all the time. Yes, the questioning process is critical, but it's how you structure what the questions are. So, yeah, I'm on exactly the same page as you, mate. It's so important to be able to ask the right questions and to call people, but using the changing model of cold calling, I think, is really important today. Yeah. I hope that adds a bit of value.
Look, it really does, Harry, and I know how much work you do with people, helping them to make these outbound phone calls, make their own luck. And yeah, use a script. Don't wing it. Certain words work. Certain words don't work. You want to use a strategy that absolutely works, which is what we teach, of course. Got another one here, Harry, from John Kane, who's in Melbourne. John says, how far into a phone conversation should you let a potential client speak before approaching them about the price of your service? Interesting question. How far into the phone conversation should you allow the customer to go before you approach them about the cost of your product or service? What are your thoughts, Harry?
That's a really interesting question, because it's not really a matter of just telling people what your product costs. In the process of the discussion you're having with your prospect, it's really important to find out what the pain is they feel, what the impact of some sort of a change they are looking for, or some sort of a purchase is going to have, both on them and on their business. Because when they start to explain to you what is happening to them, it gives them so much more of a reason to understand what the value of a really good solution is going to be. Now, we deal with a lot of organisations, Wayne, that ask us about how do we handle figuring out what the budget is? How do we handle getting a price that they're prepared to pay? And yes, it is something that needs to be addressed, but it becomes so much easier to do if you ask the right questions and you guide the questions down the line of have they been involved in anything like it in the past? Have they purchased any large acquisitions similar to what it is they're talking about, or any small acquisitions, so that you get a feeling about their knowledge of what they're trying to do. Once you've done that, if you disturb them with what you understand about your competitors, you can set up the conditioned responses for what happens when a competitor either comes in cheaper or does something differently, and you know that that isn't going to meet the customer's needs because you've asked the questions. So that's sort of the approach I would have, that you've got to guide the discussion into bringing up that process. So it's not really a point in time that you say, oh, here's my price. It's a matter of they will ask you to help them get to where it is you're suggesting if you go through the disturbing process by making them aware of the issues they would face if they got their buying decision wrong. Does that sort of make sense, Wayne?
Yeah, and look, we cover this, of course, extensively in Module 5 on how to convert telephone inquiries into sales. And the fact of the matter is that I think very often price is the thing that's in the salesperson's mind. They feel the client is price sensitive. And if, in fact, we have in our mind that the client really is only going to buy on price, we better have the best price, or our price isn't the best, then I think it's going to come across to the client. So often the salesperson is the person who is price conscious. However, also very often with an incoming telephone call, a person will say their name and so forth, and hey, I'm just interested in what's your best price on such and such. Now, why did I say this? Because number one, they're probably in the market they do wish to buy, but it's the simple question to ask, what's your best price? And if you simply respond with the price at that outset, there where you've built no rapport, you've built no trust, you don't understand their needs, you are falling into the major trap that most salespeople fall into, and that's being either a generation 1, 2, or 3 sales professional. Can't even call them sales professional, salesperson. Generation 1 is the quote giver, where they purely focus on price. Generation 2 is the product flogger who simply believes that they need to go blah, blah, blah and tell all about their product and get their client really excited. So we've got the quote giver, we've got the product flogger, and we've got the order taker. The order taker just feels that their function is to take the order, give the price, take the order. If the client says, well, it costs too much, well, they don't know where to go to from there. What we're talking about is being a generation 4 or generation 5 sales professional, which is what we teach. And that's a true consultative salesperson who will ask questions, show a genuine need, a genuine interest in the person's need before making any kind of a recommendation. We teach this concept of being a doctor of sales. And just like a doctor, if you went to a doctor, doc's not going to say, sit down, g'day, what's wrong? I've got this sore elbow. Oh, terrific, let me write you a prescription. The doctor's going to ask much, much more questions to truly find out what your true situation is, what your real need is, before making a recommendation, before writing a prescription. And in the medical profession, prescription without diagnosis is called malpractice. And we say to salespeople, it's the same thing in sales. Prescription without diagnosis is malpractice. You must ask questions. You must understand the client's needs before you make a recommendation. Do not be price conscious. If you think about it, you and I and everyone watching this and listening to this right now have made buying decisions which were not based on price. If it was all based on price, we'd all be riding bicycles and not driving cars, or we'd be buying absolutely the cheapest motor vehicle on the market, but we don't. Do we? We buy based on value for money. It's not just price. So as salespeople, we should not be focused on price. We should ask those questions and truly be a consultative salesperson. Harry, I've got another one here from Randy Oldman in Los Angeles, in California there, Southern California, I think in San Diego, Los Angeles. Says, when is the best time to hold sales meetings and why? What do you think about this best time to hold sales meetings? I've got my thoughts on this. I'll give you a chance, Harry. What do you think about sales meetings, the value of sales meetings? When's the best time to hold them?
I've been through two different styles of it. I've been through sales meetings that are held, first of all, on the Monday morning.
Yep.
And they've been great. Early, probably a little earlier before the week starts has been great, 7:30. And that can position and guide how the week is set up. And that to me I found was great. And I'll touch on this one again in a sec. The other side of it was that I was involved in organisations that also held their sales meetings on a Friday afternoon, late on the Friday afternoon, so they could review what had gone on in the week. And that their concept was that they would then plan for the following week. Now, just to touch on the Friday afternoon one, I found that the people that I was working with were more interested in finishing up for the week. That they were more interested in getting their bag packed and going out and having their drinks with their friends on the Friday night and getting into the weekend. Where first up on a Monday morning, the plan was if someone was struggling with something, that they had a couple of very tricky calls or they had some important stuff they needed to deal with, you could talk to the other people in the meeting and get a team approach. And so you could do what we call run almost a hot seat, and ask for advice from other people that you have with you about how you handle it. Plus, we would also then set up the week for the executives that were there if we felt that we needed assistance from someone, either on some calls or in some meetings, and we could book time in their diaries, which helped us to get it done. So my take was that it was better to do it earlier in the week, preferably on the Monday morning, so that we could position our week and fit our diaries. And if we had a need where we had to get some input from other people, we could get that happening straight away.
Look, I'm inclined to agree with you, Harry. I go really for Mondays. Firstly, all sales meetings should be outside of business hours. Why? Business hours are selling time. Well, depending on whether you're selling during regular business hours, but it should always be outside of selling time. So I guess the exception to that is if you have a sales team that's selling in the evening or outside of regular business hours, then you can hold it maybe during business hours. But never, ever, ever have sales meetings during business hours or when when the time is right for your salespeople to be selling. It sends the wrong message to your salespeople. It wastes their selling time. Selling time is valuable. So always outside of selling time. But I'm a great believer in the Monday morning early. Now, some of my clients, when we say early, it really is early. I do video conference calls. I know you do. I actually do some face-to-face ones too from time to time that start at 6:30 a.m. Now, some people might say, whoa, 6:30 a.m., that's early. Yes, it is, and it's way out of selling hours. So why not make it 6:30 on a Monday morning? Get everyone out of bed, get everyone in there, get the donuts, get the healthy breakfast cereals, whatever. Give them breakfast, get the coffee going, and get that excitement going early in the morning. People might resist a little bit initially, but here again is, I think, the important thing. Your sales meetings should be valuable to the salespeople, so they look forward to coming. They should not be grumble sessions. They should be sessions where there's real value. So, and I'll cover that in just a second. Backing up here, if you do them on Monday morning, it gives people an opportunity over the weekend to prepare to present their part of the meeting. And each person coming to the meeting should have a responsibility for contributing to that meeting. So it gives people an opportunity to do some preparation before the Monday, to look at what their sales results have been and what their activity levels have been for the previous week and get ready to report on it at the sales meeting. So here again is, I think there should be a printed format, a printed schedule for exactly what's going to be covered during the sales meeting. And here very quickly is the kind of things that I would like to do. Number one, a settling process when people come in. Number one, all sales meetings should start on time, never start late. If you start late, you will train people to arrive late. Even the good people who want to come, they'll say, well, I don't really need to be on time. I can be 5 or 10 minutes late, because they never start on time. Of course, they never start on time because you don't make them start on time. Train people to arrive on time, start on time, regardless who's there, even to the extent of having a locked door policy from the start time. I'm only going to miss or get there and be banging on the door and not be allowed in, and you get the message you're going to be on time and early next time. Have a printed schedule for exactly what you intend to cover at the sales meeting. Start with what I called an I feel like saying. Now, it might seem a little bit strange, but it's a settling process where essentially everyone goes around the table, and I've seen this done with up to 50 people in the room all at the one time, and everyone has the opportunity to say, so what I feel like saying is, and it's whatever they feel like at the time. It could be, I feel like saying that I've had a really tough weekend, a few things happened, I'm not exactly thinking clearly this morning, but I'm going to do my very best. Next person might, and we simply say, thank you. Thank you. And then the next person might say, I'm really excited about this morning, really looking forward to getting into the week. Great things are happening. Thank you. And around the table, it's a settling process. Everyone has an opportunity to empty their bucket, get out of their mind, whatever's in their mind, whatever the distractions may be, so they can get on with the meeting. After there, I feel like saying, I like to ask for success stories or a check-in of the activity levels, exactly what's been happening. So in terms of a check-in on activity levels, I like to do this in a visual way, put it up on the board in front of, and get everyone to call their activity numbers. So you have their names on the board, you have the columns that might go new prospecting calls, callbacks to existing customers, first meetings, presentations, orders taken, dollar value of orders, and any other numbers that you wish to measure, any of the other important metrics, and actually get people to call out the numbers and write the numbers on the board and do some clapping, some appreciation. Well done, that's terrific. And it should be against goals, against targets that your salespeople have. So if you don't have metrics there right now, targets for your salespeople to achieve every week, you can't congratulate them on having a great week. I mean, what's a great week unless you have some goals, some targets, and get them into the habit of meeting targets each week. And if they have to come and publicly explain their numbers, I mean, it really does lift performance. People don't like coming with their peers and reporting low numbers. So after you've reported the numbers, then get into success stories. Hey, that's great. Let's hear some success stories. Who'd like to kick the success stories off? What's been happening this week? And you notice the tone of voice that I'm using. It should be excited. It should be vibrant. Sales meetings should not be grumble sessions. They should be an exciting situation. Success stories are an opportunity to hear from people as to how they've been going over the week. They're tremendously valuable. It gives a person an opportunity to feel terrific in front of their peers. It gives an opportunity for them to share strategies, because after they give a success story, you might say, well, there's a story, a backstory there, isn't there? Tell me, how did you do that? How did you get into that account? Tell us all the details. What did you do? And this successful person has an opportunity to share their strategies with the rest of the room. Now you're in training mode, particularly if you know really what they should be doing, and you can guide and give extra advice based on the strategies that they're sharing. The other reason success stories are so valuable is because they provide what I call social proof. And Harry, you and I work with social proof so much. And the way it works, of course, is that if somebody is reporting some good things that are happening and they're getting some good results, it is, again, it sends a message to everyone else. There's business out there to be had. It's just a matter of getting it. Also, you get people who listen to somebody who shared a success story, and we do this quite a bit, Harry, and they'll look across at the table and you can see what they're thinking. They're thinking, John did that, and John's not even very bright. You know, maybe I should have a go at that. You know, that's a technique we learned. And Harry, you and I, we work with people and we're teaching them techniques on the online program every week. And yeah, social proof provides evidence that this stuff works and encourages people to implement other ideas. Also, then there should be a training component in the meeting, very definitely a training component. It may only be 15 minutes. So guys, this morning we're going to be looking at making outbound telephone calls. I've got a handout here for you. Everyone, here's the script. Let's go over the script. This is the script that we've worked out works best in our situation. Let's kick it around. Let's do some role plays. Let's see how it works. So they're the important parts. The next part of the meeting is general business. Are there any general business, anything that needs to be discussed? Good, let's go over that. Then finally, the final step at sales meeting should be action commitments. What is everyone committing to do over the next 7 days before the sales meeting? This is where you get them to commit to their numbers. You write the numbers up on the board so they're up there as targets for when they come at the, next Monday. To meet the targets, exactly the number of prospecting calls, first meetings, presentations, sales, dollar value, and so forth and so on. So you can measure them against that. If people do not commit to certain things, then they're going to have a very general type of week. If people leave your meeting with very specific goals, targets, exactly what they intend to do, then they will go out there with a sense of purpose. Again, I'll run off the mouth there, Harry. Do you have anything else to add to that? Because I'm just conscious we're coming up to time here.
I know the timing's tight. No, all I'd say on that about doing them early in the morning beforehand is that if you are going to do it early, it's absolutely essential that you add value back to the people that are turning up. It can't be a criticism session. add value, show them how they can be more successful, give them access to things, do everything that you've just covered in the applauding thing, in the value-added process. But it's exactly the same as making a prospecting call. It's important to add value back to the people so that you get their respect. That's probably the key thing out of it, mate.
Yeah, look, sales management, for those of you in sales management or thinking of moving into sales management, it is such an incredible responsibility to be a sales manager. It requires an entirely different set of skills to that which made you possibly successful in sales. And this is so often what we see so frequently, Harry, don't we? We see people who've been brilliant in sales, promoted to sales management, and they're floundering because they don't quite know exactly what to do. Hey, don't bump around in the dark if that's you, if you've moved into sales management. Learn how to use the strategies, learn how to be a top gun sales manager, and do that on purpose. Like I said, don't bump around the dark. We run programs on sales management where we work with sales managers over a period of 12 months. We train them, we mentor them with our online programs. And I'll also just touch on this. Some of you will have been receiving our emails regarding our Whitsunday cruises. We have one coming up in December, our final one for this year. December will be, I think it's the 8th of December for 4 days. And that is with the, I can't remember what the sales group or the sales management group, but we have two Whitsundays workshops, cruises. One is 4 days for salespeople, one is 4 days for sales managers. They are absolutely brilliant, a lot of fun, but a real working as well. The day starts when you leave the harbour on our Seawinds catamaran, which is a 38-foot catamaran and very beautiful craft. And we cruise out and we drop anchor. So we cruise for around about 2 hours, sail for about 2 hours, drop the anchor to have a 4-hour business session where we really get down to business. Then we cruise for another couple of hours. This might involve some water activities, snorkeling. We might go ashore, do some bushwalking, have some fun. And then we're back into base, which is Hamilton Island, late in the afternoon. Offload back to your hotel room, have dinner, and then we meet again at 8 p.m. in the evening. We go from 8 p.m. through till midnight or earlier or later, whatever the level of interest is with everyone. So we have another probably 4-hour session. So it's roughly 8 hours of training. So it's pretty intense during the day, but there's plenty of time to get out on the golf course, enjoy the water activities, sail for 4 hours during the day, go and see some places that you can only see from a private yacht, and enjoy the lifestyle of the rich and famous, so to speak. A lot of fun, very motivational, and very, very good value. And we have those coming up in December. Also, next year, there'll be 4 of those for salespeople and salesmen, at least 4. We're doing some ones specifically for companies as well. So if you're interested in knowing about that, please drop us a line, an email, let us know. Very excited about it, good fun, and really good value. And for sales managers, many sales managers are now looking at setting these as their incentive prizes for 2015, setting targets, allowing people to win a place on a Top Gun Whitsunday's sales workshop cruise. And they've got the added value of not only having a very motivational thing where they can go away, have some fun, but a true learning experience. Also, Harry, as you know, is an opportunity to accelerate your success really quickly. When you work with us over a 12-month period, we gradually work through all of the key elements of selling and sales management. But this 4-day intensive involves hot seats, like you mentioned before, where you actually will go away with all of the strategies that you need to put into action immediately to get a result. And you get the combined brain power of not just you and me, but everyone who's on that cruise. All of the salespeople, sales managers will zero in on your particular situation, give you advice. That's all video recorded for you. So when you leave with a video recording you can take back, you can share with your team. So please, if you'd like more information on that, we're excited about them. I think you'd love the experience as well. And we're looking forward. There will be those between, I think, the 8th and the 17th, somewhere around about there of December. And some people I know are then going to extend their stay on Hamilton Island and stay in the Whitsundays region, bring up their family, and even move into the Christmas holidays in paradise. A great way to do it. We better wrap up. Any final thoughts, Harry?
No, Wayne, that was great. We did cover a fair bit in there, and I think a lot of it actually touches on the last question from Ange about measuring prospecting and customer retention calls. It's by focusing on the stats. That's absolutely critical. But no, it's been great. I think there are some common themes that are showing through. And it's really important for the sales management and the salespeople to keep the questions coming through and giving us the opportunity to help out by adding a little bit of value from time to time. Plus, I think if they do have any other questions or they want to cover it off a little bit more detail with us, just call us or contact us. That's absolutely fine.
Yep, send us an email or give us a telephone call. Happy to answer. And of course, we put this recording up for those of you who are watching it and you're thinking there's other people who should be watching this right now. The recording will be up within the next couple of hours. And please forward the link along to anyone that you think would get value out of this so they can maybe share this with their sales people at their sales meetings. Okay, we'll wrap it up and we'll be back with you again in 2 weeks' time on Monday in 2 weeks' time. I don't have the date in front of me. You probably know what it is, Harry. But
hang on, I've got a calendar here.
Yep.
So today is the 13th. That's going to be the 27th.
27th of October, 8 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Saving Time. So have a great day. Make it a great day. Go out there and make it all happen. It will be the day that you make. So on behalf of Harry McIntosh and myself, bye for now.